The BBC confirmed at the weekend it had suspended the presenter in question, stressing it took the allegations incredibly seriously. The pressure is mounting on the BBC to name the presenter accused of paying thousands of pounds to a teenager in exchange for sexually explicit photographs. The scandal, which erupted on Friday night, has resulted in the unnamed presenter being suspended by the corporation. BBC bosses are due to meet Metropolitan Police representatives today to discuss the situation. Meanwhile, criticism of the way in which the broadcaster has handled the situation is mounting, with one prominent critic calling for the individual in question to be named. High-profile figures including Rylan Clark, Gary Lineker and Nikki Campbell have already made public announcements denying any involvement. Rebecca Ryan, campaign director of Defund the BBC, told GB News, "They need to say who the presenter is, first and foremost, because at the moment the likelihood is that people are wondering who it is, and therefore, this sort of negative viewpoint is being cast on all the male presenters at the BBC. So I would have thought they would all be looking for the name to be released and for full disclosure of what's happened and full transparency, because what we see from the BBC is that they try and brush everything under the carpet, and then they spend years sort of hoping it goes away, and then they do their own internal reviews, and then they whitewash it. And that's simply not acceptable anymore. We've seen it enough times, and the public aren't prepared to keep paying for it." A statement issued by the BBC on Saturday said, "The BBC first became aware of a complaint in May. New allegations were put to us on Thursday of a different nature, and in addition to our own inquiries we have also been in touch with external authorities. In line with our protocols, we can also confirm a male member of staff has been suspended. We expect to be in a position to." The media is not reporting the name of the suspended BBC presenter who allegedly paid a teenager for explicit pictures through fear of defamation and breaching his privacy, media law experts have said, since news broke that a household name was at the center of claims he paid more than £35,000 in exchange for sexual images. Questions have been asked why the name of the BBC star has not been published. Mark Stevens, media law expert and partner at Howard Kennedy, told the PA news agency that there was a big change to the way the media approached reporting after Sir Cliff Richard won a privacy case against the BBC over its coverage of a South Yorkshire police raid on his home in Sunningdale, Berkshire, after he was falsely accused of historical sex offences. This was further entrenched when the Supreme Court, the UK's highest court, ruled that a person being investigated for a crime generally has a reasonable expectation of privacy. On Monday, Mr. Stevens said that following the Sir Cliff Richard case, what was decided was that while an investigation was going on, the balance between right to privacy and freedom of expression, or the public's right to know, favored keeping things private. That is why The Sun and no other newspaper has identified the presenter, and part of that was to avoid this social media frenzy with names being bandied about.